So, Dr. Mpofu, thank you so much for making time to share your insights into the future of leadership.
Thank you.
It's great to have you on the show. And Dr. Mpofu, before we walk into the future, can you please tell us a little bit about your background? Where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Zimbabwe. I grew up in Zimbabwe. I did my primary and high school there. And then I came here in South Africa in around 1994 and joined the Transnet division called Datavia, where I went through a course which was an examination that was meant to, if you passed, you became you went for training at Van Zeel and Pritchard as a corporate program.
And tell us, what was your dream career when you grew up?
Look, when I grew up, I didn't have a dream career as such, because in my setting, there was nothing. I mean, you just went to school. You didn't. There were no role models as such, because what you'd come across are policemen, teachers, nurses, drivers of buses. Those are the kind of clerks. Someone's a clerk somewhere. Those are the kind of people that you came across. But I didn't have any aspirations for some of those professions that were around. And so there was not really any intention of being in a specific profession.
Now, Dr. Mpofu, today you are one of the leading CIOs in South Africa and on the continent. You just won a number of awards like CIO of the Year and others. Can you tell us what was a turning point in your career?
I would say the turning point was at the time when I made a decision to study computers, because it was an opportunity that I saw where not many people were involved in that field. In other words, I'm talking about, say, Black people, because as you know, during that time, the majority of people were in that space were normally white people. And I took that as an opportunity and a challenge at the same time to say, well, let me get into this field. And I knew capacity-wise, I didn't have any challenges. So all I wanted was just an opportunity. And I think that was the turning point of my career.
Thank you. And Dr. Mpofu, the role of the CIO is more important today than ever. What is driving you today? What is motivating to do the great work you're doing?
Mostly what drives me is just I'm very passionate about technology. And I'm also very passionate about continuous changes, continuous improvement. And in the process of doing that, I also look at technology as a tool that is used that one can use to equalize the different developmental stages of different families. I mean, if a poor person happens to have the opportunity to utilize technology, they may actually operate at the same level with someone coming from a good background. So the continuous changes fascinate me. The ability to create an environment where, say, students or people from poor backgrounds and those from better backgrounds can operate at the same level because of technology fascinates me. And the changes, just the continuous changes, the rapid changes. I love rapid changes, and that's what keeps me awake. And I feel it is literally in my brain that the more things change, the better the world becomes.
Okay, so that's good to hear from a CIO in the age of AI. And tell us, Dr. Mpofu, as so much of our future depends on leadership, and I know it's a big question, but what does the future of leadership mean to you?
Well, for me, it takes one to a point where the current leadership attributes, the current leadership way of doing things is not necessarily what you want to configure for the future. Because in the future, you're going to meet different people, you're going to deal with AI elements. And at that stage, as well, one has to consider that in the future, there will be less people who are, perhaps everyone will be IT savvy, in other words, highly computer literate. So you need a leader that has the ability to transform, the leader has the ability to be flexible, a leader who has got empathy. Because in future, I can actually see leaders focusing not only on issues around empathy, but just also mental health of employees and the ability to deal with issues of employees that will be affected by the presence of or the prevalence of AI, and the ability to drive, to give a vision to the people to be able to embrace technology, because not everyone embraces technology. It's easier for people working in IT, but it's not as easy for anybody else outside IT, because it comes with its own challenges of people feeling they are not good enough, or people feeling this thing is taking their jobs, or people just feeling this thing is taking them out of their normal comfort of normally working in a specific way. There comes technology, it wants them to do something differently, it wants them to learn new things. So you want a leader that is all those elements of being transformational, flexible, empathic, have a lot of empathy, and be able to rise to a stage where you almost become a change manager of some kind as well, and assist people to get used to the new things that come on board.
And Dr. Mpofu, as a senior leader who is leading multiple teams, what is it that we have to do to develop future leaders and fast track future leaders?
I think well, if you use the word fast track, then I would possibly say you need to have some serious attention to issues of having coaches around, having mentors around, because it is also dangerous for people to just jump steps and go into positions where their competence is suspect, their leadership is suspect, because it takes a while for you to understand that leadership is not something that is in a box that you can just open and use. You need to be able to adjust to the environment. You need to know what leadership style to apply when. You need to know when you need to be firm, when you need to be fair, when you need to be tolerant. So it's a package that comes with experience. And for you to gain that experience, first you need to be given the opportunity to be exposed to an environment, but also get people that have traveled the journey, the people who can assist you with mentorship, because for the important thing really becomes give people opportunity. In the old days, perhaps it took a while for someone to take some 20, 30 years to become a leader. Now it takes 55 or 10 years, someone is already in a leadership role. So the importance then is to make sure that you calculate the risk and offer the opportunity to people who are young, who need to be leaders. And potentially you can always see these people as you work with them. The leaders are normally quite visible. You can look at them in terms of how they do things, their attitude, their demeanor and character. Those things you can tell that this one is a potential leader if you give them an opportunity. So it's all about giving them opportunities, supporting them with the mentorship programs, coaching programs, as well as just supporting them when they face challenges as well, because you don't want to put them in the deep end and leave them alone. You must say, handle them and hold their hands, and when you feel they are free to go on their own, then you allow them that process so that they can experience making mistakes, they can experience making wrong decisions, right decisions, and eventually grow into that leadership realm.
Now, Dr. Mpofu, you mentioned challenges, and as the world is stumbling from one crisis into the next, what are some of the biggest challenges future leaders should expect to encounter and hopefully overcome in their career?
Look, I think in the future you can see the world is no longer the same. The world looks like generally volatile now. And with that, and I'm talking about volatility in all sorts of ways. It's volatile economically, it's volatile politically, it's volatile socially. So you need leaders that have got the acumen and the skill to maneuver that terrain and be able to survive through making the right decisions at a specific time, because the things change very rapidly. You can imagine we are in a social, economic, and political volatile environment now. And you also have to do your work or lead a specific group. So within that are elements that you have to be very careful around how you do things, and be able to see things faster perhaps than everybody else, and be studious to always be on the lookout for how to better things, how to improve things, how to manage the risks. Because I think in the future leaders will have to deal with more risks maybe than what we deal with now. Because if you look at it financially, there will be quite there will be financial constraints, there will be climate issues. There's going to be a lot of pandemonium caused by human beings, as you know. And with that, you need leaders that have got the resilience, the capacity to deal with issues without breaking down themselves.
And Dr. Mpofu, if you were to design a curriculum for future leaders, what are some of the key skills that you would want to factor in and maybe teach?
Well, I think one has to be courageous. Courage is one, and I'm not looking at courage and allocating it on its own. You need to be courageous and very decisive when you're a leader. And those two, I think, are critical in the sense that they make people that report to you, or people that aspire or you look at you as a role model, believe in what you do. And then there are elements like, when there's turmoil, a lot of people get distracted and end up doing wrong things. So ethics and ethical leadership and integrity become quite critical in that kind of environment, because you're not swayed by money or crooks that will come and try and convince you to do wrong things. So you need leadership that is ethical, leadership that is that has got integrity. But in terms of change, you also want people who are transformational, leaders that are transformational, leaders that can deal with that are flexible and do not believe in, I used to do this last weekend, it works now. The world moves very quickly, and so should the leadership attributes. They should change, should be able to adjust. Like what a chameleon does. I don't know if you know a chameleon. When it goes into vegetation that is green, it changes to green. When it gets to yellow, it changes to yellow. So you need to be able to adjust accordingly and fit the environment, but still have your character of integrity, ethics, transformational, flexible, decisive, and courageous. Because when you don't have courage, then perhaps you're in a wrong space when it comes to leadership.
Now, Dr. Mpofu, as a mentor to many future leaders, can you maybe share a success story or two where you mentored an upcoming leader and that person took your advice to heart?
Yes, I would typically use a young man that I met when I arrived at VETS in 2017. He's now a deputy director at Northwest University. His name is Dado Lehuzo. So this young man came to me and asked to be mentored. But besides that, when I arrived, I asked the management team then to say I needed someone to do processes, and they identified him as the guy who could assist me. But what actually developed out of that was not just someone who is going to do processes for me. Here is a young man who had a very good attitude, a very positive attitude, was prepared to learn, was prepared to face challenges, was prepared to face any hostility or resistance you can think of. But it was more his attitude that I think was crucial, because besides mentoring him, I would give him some tasks, and some tasks sometimes that keep him busy over the weekend. He's a young man who wants maybe his weekend for fun with his friends. But I would give him some tasks, and he would do them diligently, and he would do any task at any time of the day whenever I needed him to. Just part of it was just to test his resilience. So he was so resilient with a very good attitude and prepared to work, literally work hard, and be in a position to learn as much as he could. And today, perhaps if it wasn't for his way of doing things, his attitude, his desire to do good things, and the quality of his work, maybe he wouldn't be in the position he is today. But I look at that as one good example of someone that I found at a lower level, developed them, got promotions, by the way, within the system. I think he got one promotion within the system, and eventually people outside observed that he was good, because I would also, as part of creating a network for him, I would give him tasks to do in the outside space, outside the university. And I think he was recognized, but as soon as an opportunity came for him, he applied. I told me he had seen an opportunity. I supported him, and he got the job, and today he's just one level below a CIO. It's a matter of time. I'm sure he'll be a CIO in the near future if he gets the opportunity.
And Dr. Mpofu, are there any role models of leadership that you've encountered during your career and maybe worked with that you would recommend future leaders should learn from?
Yes, I would say the most common ones, and I think one of them we were together in ESCOM in a utility company, which I'm sure you know. He was the chairman of ESCOM, Mr. Roel Koza, at the time when I was doing my PhD. I had a meeting with him in his office in the third floor in Megawatt Park, and he gave me one of his books, which talks about leadership. And I liked his style because his style represented something that you wish I could be like this man. I mean, integrity, decisiveness, the stature, the acumen of the man, how his character, everything fitted what I would admire to become in future. And as I was doing my PhD on leadership and strategy, I always wanted to see the things that I'm reading out there. What are the things that I also see in Roel Koza? I was not close to him. I'm sure even if you ask him now who is Stanley Mpofu, he's not going to remember. Of course, I wasn't really someone I would say I was close to him. I only met him probably once or twice when he was at ESCOM University. So he was really my role model. I'm talking from a work point of view, and as well as another gentleman that I've never worked with very closely as well. He's a current, apparently, he happens to be the current chairman of ESCOM, and Tetonyati, I think, because he comes from a technology background, so I tend to be inclined towards his leadership style as well. And I think there's not much that I can say except that it is the leadership style that is a role model for me. But I can't talk only about these two. I have to talk about my parents. In my father, I saw a part of leadership that were different. In my mother, I saw parts of leadership that were different. So my father was a role model. If I look at it from a point of, here is a man who had never been to school, but was able to encourage me to go to school. He could read and write, and he was able to obtain a driver's license, and he could drive trucks, he could drive yellow plant. And the determination, the desire is something that I thought as a leader, those are the kind of things you need to showcase. And my father was a role model because of that. My mother was also a role model because she was responsible for teaching my father how to write. And she was quite a strong character, and she had the ability to manage a home in the absence of the father, who would come maybe 3 times a year, And she literally took the role of father and mother, parenting kids on her own in the absence of the father who was far away at work. And I saw a person who was strong, so that I could see a strong character, because those are kind of some of the attributes you require from a strong leader. A strong character, someone who can deal with difficulties, someone who doesn't collapse because they are now facing challenges, but they rise actually as the challenges come. Yeah, so I would say those are the 4 individuals, 2 in the workspace, but 2 literally close to home.
Thank you. Now, Dr. Mpofu, where can our listeners follow you, and how should they connect with you?
There is a link on LinkedIn. I think something I can send to you, or if possibly, I don't know if I've sent you this. I can't remember now, but I think I did. If you look at, if you go on LinkedIn, you're going to find there's a link there. Most people can see who I am and what I do and what I've done. It's easy to understand me, part of me from that. I think was all that you see there is true and fact. And I'm sure when people look at that, I get quite a lot of people who talk to me. I even have mentors that got to know about me through LinkedIn, people that I've never met in my life. And now I mentor them. So I'm sure LinkedIn is the best position for now for people to go and check who is this Stanley.
Thank you. And last but not least, Dr. Mpofu, what is your advice for the millions of learners out there who are looking to leave school, to start a career? What are maybe 1 or 2 success factors that they should keep in mind?
I think it's important to recognize that nothing comes easy like manna from heaven. You need to work. You should be prepared to work hard. You can be smart, but you need to be prepared to work hard. And another important thing is you need to have the right attitude. It does not really help to be smart, but when your attitude is not good. So your attitude has to be right. And you must know that it's a place for hard work. Do not cut corners. Just go step by step. You'll get there. Do not be attracted by things that you see outside the world. Create your own world. And with the right attitude, with the right hard work, and following the right steps to get somewhere, I think those are the better attributes that will keep people on the right track and doing the right things. But I think it's very, very important for the young people to realize also that it does not matter what your background is. It does not matter how difficult life was maybe when you were young. The important thing is once you get an opportunity, use the opportunity appropriately by having the right attitude, working hard, delivering where you're supposed to deliver, and follow the good processes of advancing yourself through education, through learning new skills, and be prepared to do anything that helps you to develop. And with that, I think the young people can prosper in one way or another going forward.
Dr. Mpofu, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your wisdom into the future of leadership, and for inspiring us to reach for the stars.
Thank you. Thank you very much.